Hello and welcome to our Railroad Relic Garden. My name is Aubrey Wiley. My friends call me Jumpman, and you'll see why. My wife Charlotte and I live on the eastern foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia. Like most young boys, I grew up fascinated with trains. I had a Lionel model railroad layout, and I would spend as much time as I could trackside. I would ride my bicycle to places where I thought I could get interesting train pictures. And after a while, the railroad workers began to notice me, and sometimes I was invited to come on board the locomotive. And being such a charming little kid, sometimes they would give me some little mementos of that railroad experience. Well, taking so many pictures, I guess it's pretty natural that some of them had to be pretty good. So I sent them to a railroad company magazine, and they were published. Well, that brought me a pass to ride on the railroad's passenger trains, and my parents agreed. So many Saturdays when I was in high school, I would walk to the train station early in the morning and ride as far and as long as I could and be back in time before it was dark. Well, soon that was stretched to just be back in time for bedtime. Well, that led to a career in photojournalism after I was out of college, and I enjoyed that work tremendously. But I still kept taking train pictures and spending time by the railroad and trying to learn more about it. And after doing this career for over 25 years, I wanted something more. I needed to experience a new challenge. So I returned to college and I started teaching U.S. and European history. And I became fascinated with primary source research. I studied primary source material, analyzed it, drew conclusions, and then published what I was finding. I was becoming a student of myself. Now, how does all of this tie into my love for trains? Well, it is probably natural for most people to be fascinated or drawn to the beautiful locomotives. They being so much like living people or animals, and that is understandable for people to be interested in the railroad engineers and conductors and so forth. And there are many songs, stories, and poems have been written about brave locomotive engineers, strong firemen, resourceful railroad conductors. But have you ever heard of a song about a railroad telegraph operator, or a railroad signalman, or a railroad track worker? Well, how about the tools that these people used? How many people would understand what they worked with, what that job was on the railroad? Well, this is what attracted me. And retiring from teaching in 2003, I started to display many of my railroad items that I had collected over the decades. And in the winter of 2006, I acquired my first railroad signal. Within the year, I had 4 more signals that were given to me, and it has grown from that. They all are from different time periods, different manufacturers, different railroads, and they reflect changing technology from a time period when railroads were operated, trains were run before cell phones and satellite communications. And our Railroad Relic Garden contains more than railroad signals. We have a restored railroad motor car, and it has its own interesting story. It is a 91-year-old gal that is well-traveled. She was known by many names, and she was even shot once. So come visit our Railroad Relic Garden.